Second, I'm going to record the session. I'll put it on YouTube.
Awesome.
Where is my SQL? Okay, that's it. All right. And that's, okay. All right, so you have a file that I sent you guys on Slack. If you unzip it, you can open that file up. Now, technically, this isn't, it is part of SQL, but it's not. But the file looks like this. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to jumpstart you with respect to getting the data in. There's multiple ways to get data in. One is going to be called load data in file, but we're going to work with that separately later on. Oh, somebody get in here. There's your alarm.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'm joking. It's fine. Okay, so does everybody have it open? Is there anybody who doesn't have the file open?
Yeah, I don't have Workbench, but I'm just opening it in my beloved editor.
That's fine. Okay, you'll be okay. Everybody else good?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're not good, then say so, okay? All right, on the left side here, you're going to need to create a schema. The schema is going to be where your tables are going to be located. So remember, we talked a little bit last week, a table is going to be like an Excel spreadsheet. A schema is going to be like a workbook. You're going to have multiple sheets or multiple tables within a schema. So if we're going to create a new schema, you can basically, you're going to have something that looks different, obviously, but you can right mouse click in this space and you can do create schema. So if I do create schema, the schema editor pops up, and then what I will do is I will basically do something that says SQL Class. Or let's do SQL Class. Okay, and apply. And it gives you the SQL statement. I could literally type this in if I wanted to in any SQL editor, execute it, and it will do the same thing. But we're doing this here in the Workbench to make it a little bit easier. So I'll apply it. And now if I refresh, you will see my SQL class is here. What I want to do is I'm going to right mouse click on the schema, and I'm going to do set as default schema. If you're in the command line, you're going to basically use the command use in the name of the schema. But here, we're just going to set the default schema, and you're going to see it bold faces it. That's how you know that this is the schema that you're using. Okay? That's all you have to do for that. Then what you're going to do is we're going to open up that SQL file that I sent you. The way we can open that. Yep.
Sorry, just in terms of creating the schema, I did the right click and then I'm creating a new schema. It's giving me the name. How do I click enter to actually create it from here?
So you did create schema.
Yes, yeah, I'm right there.
Right. So click apply down at the bottom.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
No worries. All right, I just got to get out of this.
I got an error message, something about DDL, but I just had.
Make sure, what was the name of the schema that you use?
SQL _class.
And you're getting a DDL error?
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of click past it and it looks like it's okay, but then there's also this little X button.
All right, well, do you see the schema on the left side?
Yeah.
Okay, if you right mouse click it, if you click on the little arrow, do you get something that looks like tables and all this other stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you'll be okay.
All right.
Okay, well, we're going to find out in a minute. All right, so now to open up the file, right, we're going to go to File, and then you're going to do Open SQL Script. When you open SQL Script, it gives you the, whatchamacallit, you're going to choose the file that I sent you, which is probably named dump 2019-06-24.SQL. When you do that and you click open, I'm going to click cancel because I already have it opened, you're going to get something that looks like this, okay? For the most part, we can ignore all of this stuff. I'm just going to show you what it does. We're going to cover this a little bit later on in one of the sessions. But what it's going to do, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to drop sales table if it exists, okay? So that if we have one already and we've screwed it up, we're going to basically kill the table. Then it will actually create the table. Period. It'll give us all the fields that we need, and we went through some of these last week: varchar, int, date, and so forth. And then, as you go a little bit further down, you're going to see I'm inserting. There's two lines here, which are inserting records, and in reality, it's basically inserting a bunch of records. It's going to actually insert 10,000 records. You see where it says insert values, open parenthesis, and then close parenthesis over here, where my little spinny ball is. Well, that's the first record. And then there's a comma, and then there's the second record. So it's doing this all for us. We don't have to worry about all the other statements here because I don't necessarily care about them right now. But all I want you to do is take the file and over to the right, somewhere down here. Oh, I'm sorry. If you highlight, well, actually, you don't even need to highlight it. Unfortunately, my system's a little frozen now because I keep moving back and forth. What we're going to do is you're going to click the lightning bolt. Don't highlight anything. It'll run the whole thing. When you run the lightning bolt, it will execute it. And then down at the bottom, you will actually see something that looks like it's been running each one of the lines. And it says 0 rows affected. It might say 8,000 rows affected, which was the insert, 1,400, because it did it in 2 statements. The way you know it works is if you click the refresh in the top left, you'll see the tables now has the sales table, okay? And if you right mouse click on sales table and you click select rows, you will see all of the data already there, okay? Now, I've gone through quite a few steps. Is there anybody who's stuck on any particular step? And I'll go back. Again, the session is being recorded, so you'll be able to kind of follow through along.
I'm just a little.
And came out.
Go ahead, Colleen, go ahead, say that again.
When I tried doing the lightning bolt, nothing went. So should I have my cursor on like line 7 starting or on line 1, or does it not matter?
It does not matter. If you didn't highlight any line or part of a line, you click the lightning bolt, it should run. You should see action output at the bottom. If you see a bunch of green circles, right, and possibly that one little yellow triangle, especially a green circle by something that says insert into, and you see 8,500 and 1,400 rows, then it worked. You won't necessarily see a result in here in this middle section.
Got it. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
just reflecting it's there.
Yep,
Thank
and
you.
then when you if you right mouse click on sales table, or if you don't see sales table, click the refresh up at the top left where it says schemas. This will refresh the entire tree. So right mouse click on sales table, click select rows, and it'll create the SQL statement for you and then show you the rows.
How did you get yours to say 5,000 or however much you had? Because mine says limit 1,000.
Up at the top up here, where it says limit to 50,000, just click on that. It's a drop down. You can even choose don't limit. There's only 10,000 rows in this data set, so you can click don't limit without any penalty.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Chris?
No, my question just got answered.
Okay. Everybody else good?
No, I have a question. So when I'm running that, it says 0 rows affected. So does that mean I'm not clicking it right?
If you scroll up a little bit in there, you'll probably see one that says 8,500 rows affected.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I got it.
That's okay, because what happens is there's a bunch of lines. Some of the lines have no effect, so it's telling you 0 rows affected.
Okay.
Later on, what's going to happen, I'm going to give you a data set. We're going to spend probably like an entire session just importing data so I can show you what the warnings are, and you can basically pull out any remaining hair that you might have or throw your computer across the room.
Very funny.
But it's true, because if you look,
It's true. I don't deny it.
it's absolutely true. And again, each one of you is being trained for the Olympic computer throw.
That's literally
Chris-
like any
Chris-
of your classes, though.
Exactly. Chris is actually leading the pack right now.
Yeah, he's on Windows, right?
Yeah. What did you throw, Chris? What did you throw? You was about 400 feet.
Yeah, I did. It was a Mac Air, so I got a little
Got
air
a little
underneath.
air under it. Yeah. Very nice. Okay. All right. So everybody able to see the table? Okay. Is there anybody who cannot see the table?
I had another question.
Uh-huh.
Are these comments the C-like comments, the front slash asterisk, and that entire piece of text, and then ending with the asterisk and the backslash? Is that a comment?
That's one. Yeah. Another comment is actually dash dash.
Right.
So there.
But
Go ahead.
is there any significance of that exclamation 40,000?
Yes,
all those numbers.
Those are going to be directives to the database, so that's a little bit different, because that's what's called a DDL,
Okay.
and the scripting language. We're not really going to worry about it because we won't need that for anything
Okay.
we're doing.
Okay.
Okay, everybody else good? All right. So very quickly, a couple of things that we're going to go over. There are 4 statements. Okay? Those are the only 4 statements that manipulate, we should do this, that manipulate the database. Select, insert, update, and delete. That's it. So we really need to master these 4 statements. Now, there are some other things like create table and alter table, but if you're going to manipulate data, these are the only 4 statements you need. Select retrieves information from a table or a group of tables. Insert puts data into a table or multiple tables. Update will change a record within a table, and delete will remove a record from a table. That is the only thing that you need. I would say roughly 70%, 10%, 10%, 10%, and that's being very liberal on those last on the last 2 in terms of what you need to know and how you need to manipulate it. So the select is the biggest one, and that's what we're going to spend most of the time on. So one thing that's important is the format. Now, spaces in SQL don't really matter. I could do, as you can see here, select from the sales table gets me a whole bunch of data. I could put a whole bunch of spaces here. I could actually put it something that looks like this. I could put different lines like this. It does not care what it looks like, okay? So you don't have to worry about certain things. Each statement, however, will generally end in a semicolon unless it's the only statement. Then you don't need it. So if I run this by itself, it runs. If I put a semicolon at the end, it runs as well. The only time you need a semicolon is if I have another statement underneath it. If I'm creating a script that will do multiple things, then you need the semicolon so it knows where one line ends or doesn't. So that's where you might see that. The general form for the select statement is going to be something that looks like this. We're going to have some fields. We're going to select the fields that we want from a particular table. I'm going to get rid of some of this right now, where some condition exists. At the very least, this is what a select statement looks like, and we build it like this. So in the table that I have below, if we want to select a certain number of fields, like let's say I want to do region, country, and order priority. Actually, let me not do order priority. I want to do, let me just deal with those 2 because I'll explain what the problem is in a minute. The name of the table is going to be sales table, and I'm not going to have a where condition. I just want everything, no matter what. I can click I write my query, I click the lightning bolt, and I now have my information there. Now, the first thing that you might notice is, what's the name of the table here? Sales table. What's the name of the table that I created? Sales table with a capital S. SQL is not case sensitive, so it does not care. Okay? You can put it in whatever format you want. Now, I've seen some little nuances in SQL where it was case sensitive, but it shouldn't be. I don't know why that occurs, but it is, by definition, it is not supposed to be case sensitive. Okay? It may be in like a part of the programming language where I saw that, and that's a different thing that we're not doing right now. If I want all of the columns in my table, I'll just put a star, sales table, boom, and I now get all of the columns. Okay? Does that make sense?
How come you didn't put a semicolon in this case?
Because there's only one statement, so it doesn't matter. The only time you need a semicolon is when you have multiple statements.
Okay.
Now, if you're on the command line, you're going to have to put a semicolon so that it knows the statement is over.
Okay.
Okay? Because you're not using workbench.
Right.
Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? Any questions?
So you're not writing this in the dump file. You're writing this like in a query file?
Right, in a brand new script. So if you click this little doohickey up here that says SQL with the plus, it opens up a brand new tab, and then you can start typing away. Then if you're like me, you have a bunch of tabs open. This is a good day. I usually have like the list going all the way down to here, and I'm killing myself for doing it. So you know that statement, don't do what I do what I say, and all that other crap? And that's kind of it. I just strongly suggest, I want to close all these things out. I have so many query tabs open, I really just should not, but I do. So I apologize. Close this. Tax data import you don't need. Don't save. I should be good with this. Which one am I working with? Yep, go ahead.
What does dot mean?
What's what?
That dot next to the one.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's basically just an indicator that your statement is good. I'll show you what happens. There's an error.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is starting my statement, and generally it's good unless you see an X underneath one of the lines, in which case there's a problem. There is no fro, select star fro sales table. But when I change that to from, the statement is now good. Okay?
Got it.
Okay. Now, the other problem is this, is that if you look at the error, because I'll bring this up, you can move the mouse. It should give me the error at some point. Here you go. They are not very good, the errors. Fro is not valid at this position, expecting end of file. What it's really saying is, I have no idea what the hell you're asking me to do. And you kind of have to know that it's going to be the from. The errors in SQL are not great. Okay?
Got it.
All right.
And is there any way, like when we're in R, if you use the pound symbol, you can make a comment? Is there any way to make comments in SQL? Or
Yep.
is it just new?
My suggestion is to use 2 dashes and a space. This is my comment, and I like it. Chris will throw his 495 feet like Aaron Judge home run. Okay? Right, Chris? You went on mute.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? So that's how you can do comments. There's other ways to do a comment. You can do this, which are called bookmarks, /*, // because then you can do multiple lines if you want. Okay? And that's the same thing. I will tell you this. I've used this occasionally. It's nice when you want to write a lot of crap comments, but if I'm writing 3 or 4 lines, I generally just use -- space, -- space. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
It's also good if you want, you can write your -- space like that at the end of the line. It basically makes the rest of the line a comment. Okay? So you can embed the comment inside of your SQL statement if you like. I could put one in here if I want, maybe even a note to myself, make sure you only select the top 3 fields. That would be perfectly fine as well. Okay? Let me remove these. Okay, now I'm going to go try and get a couple of fields. I'd like to get the region again. I'd like to get the country again. I would like to get order priority, so I'm going to write order priority, and then I'm going to get order ID, and I'm going to run it. Now, wait a second. I'm doing this. Those are the names of my fields, yet it's telling me there's an error. So when I look here, it says select is not, okay, well, let me get rid of this here. Select is not valid at this position. I'm expecting something with, it doesn't make any sense. The error is not telling you what the real problem is. The problem here is this. Order priority has a space in it. And if you remember from my class, I told you if you're creating variables, don't create variables with spaces. Because in R, you have to do this little backward apostrophe. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Well, guess what? It's the same thing in SQL. If you've got a space or a period inside of your field, you need to actually put these back quotes in them. You can't put the single quote. You can't put double quote. It's got to be the back quote. Okay? And when I run it, you'll see that I get the 4 fields. So it's not a good practice to create fields with spaces in them. Otherwise, you will end up creating a very large, you're going to have a large query with these, apostrophes, and you better know what they are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And that's going to get a little bit crazy when you try and reference fields in a single query from multiple tables or even multiple schemas. I can actually have 3 or 4 schemas each with their own set of tables, and write one query and pull data from all of them into a single result set. Okay?
I'm still getting the error.
Which error?
The select is not valid.
Could you do me a favor, just share your screen real quick?
Sure. Can you see?
Yep. Do me a favor, just highlight. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so here's the problem. You see how you have the select from sales table at the top?
Yeah.
Just semicolon at the end of that, because that's one statement, and now it knows where the other statement is.
Great. Okay.
You run, hold on, if you run this, it's going to run both of those select statements, okay?
Mhm.
If you only want to run one of them, highlight rows 10 and 11, click the lightning bolt,
Oh gosh, right here.
and now it will run only that.
Okay.
Just like in R where you highlight a few lines and then that's it.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
No problem.
I'm also having that problem, but I don't have the
Could
line
you-
that you had above.
Could you share your screen?
I have everything commented above.
Okay, hold on.
She's put a semicolon after the comment.
Okay, so watch this. Just run the select statement for 1 second. Run, highlight line 12 and 13 is what I meant. Now, you definitely have an error in the statement. Now, remember what I said. Look at your table, look at your columns. You've got region, country, and then what?
The space.
Order priority, right. Okay, so not those quotes, the back quotes in the top left.
Under the,
Right to the left of the one.
Right. Oh.
See, and it changes color for you. It's nice.
And then this
You're-
is on zero.
You're going to notice that the key words like select and from get bold-faced. Go ahead, highlight and run it. Get bold-faced and are block and in blue. And when you put the back apostrophe, it turns it into a red. You're also going to see that string literals, like if I'm looking for a query where the first name is Chris and I put that in single quotes, it will turn it to green. So that's a workbench thing. If you using, like Vihan is using a command line, you won't get any of that, okay? That's what Workbench does. Okay, so your query works, you're good. That semicolon in line 10 is not an issue because that would basically be what's called a null statement if there's nothing to do.
Okay, no operation.
There's no operation, correct. Okay, you good, Colleen?
Yeah.
Okay, stop sharing, good, next. Where is my, da, 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 da. All right, so now that we've got the fields here, and I know what I'm doing, what I might want to do is I'm going to look at the rest of this. I want to see the entire table again. And it's clear that you can select any fields you want just by putting them in this comma-oriented list. I could select the region, the item type, whatever it is. Now, if I want to pull or filter my results, I'm going to use the where clause. So I'm going to say where. Now, in this case, let's say I only want order priority equal to C. So I would do order priority equal to, and this is a literal. Now you're going to notice I put in the C in a single apostrophe quote. This is where the field is going to be equal to C. Let me just see something here. Yeah. So in my new workbench, it changed the color. It's no longer green. It's orange. Again, if you can't see colors that well, it kind of stinks because that order priority and that orange C is pretty close for me. So this is basically saying only give me the records where order priority is equal to C. So I'm going to run this,
Cool.
and there you go. Those are all my order priorities. They're all C. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. So let's do this. I need to see now, no pun intended. I need to see the data. I have three things. I've got C, H, and L, and M. So what if I want two of them? Let's assume that I want where order priority is C or order priority equals M. Now I have C's and M's. So it's giving me now the records where the order priority is a C or an M. Now, if I were to change this to an AND, what do you think would happen?
Both.
Nothing. I mean, you'll have a null result basically because it has to be only C or M,
That's
not
correct.
both of them
If
together.
you run it, you get nothing because you can't, in this table, if you take a look at it, you will have no records where order priority is both C and M at the same time. Does that make sense, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what if I want order priority C and item type
That should work.
equals vegetables? I can do that. Now, this is where both are going to be the condition that order priority C and the item type is vegetables on the same row. So when I run it, you now get your order priority of C and the item type vegetables. Okay? All right, so now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to actually run a query that will get me the records where the total revenue is greater than 300,000. See if you can run that query. And then someone tell me what the query is, and then I'll just type it in as we go.
Total revenue from...
Is total revenue numeric?
It is. Should be. Let me just double check. That's a good point. It better be. Yes, it's double. Tell me how many records you actually have. And then give me the query, and then I'll run it.
Where it's greater than or equal to?
Where it's greater than or equal to 300,000.
Is there a count function that I'm missing?
No, just look at the bottom. You see the response? It'll tell you the number of rows.
I don't trust that.
When you execute the query, it should give you the number of rows at the bottom. I will show you how to do a count, though.
I got 7429, but it seems
Okay.
like a lot.
Well, give me the query that you ran.
So I did select total revenue. Do you want me to just share screen?
Nope, actually, copy and paste the query into the chat.
Sure thing. Chat.
Go ahead and read. Oh, wait. Okay, cool. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to run this. Boom. Execute. And I've got 724. You did total revenue. What you might want to do is just say, give me all the records, I mean, all the fields, and those are all the fields. Okay? All right, so now what I want to do one more is I'd like you to actually get me all of the items where the total revenue is greater than 500,000 and the sales channel is online. I'm going to ask you to put that in the chat window, whoever gets it first or has it.
Where do we see what the count is?
Down at the bottom down here. You just get the little draw a doohickey there. Boom. See that?
Oh,
There's other ways to get the count, and there'll be better ways, but for now, that's how I want you to do it. Okay? See, Chris wrote this again. Is Chris going to be 2 for 2?
I was wrong on the first one. Let's be clear on that.
There you go. Okay, and that's the result. Already see that?
mine only says 1,000 rows returned. Is
Okay.
that an error?
It should be.
I put don't limit. I gotta change the setting to don't limit.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, cool.
That's the other reason why I want to do it this way, is because I want you guys to play around with the data set. All these little problems that you're going to have, I'm not getting the right result. It's because little changes in the workbench or in your query, and then you get to experience all of that. Okay? You all good with that? All right. All right. So that's how you're going to do, this basic query. Okay. And you have the where clause, and you can build them up where you have where one column is something and another column is something, or where one column, is 500,000. I can change this to or, and I should get more records. And I do. I get 8,000 records because it can be greater than 500,000, or the sales channel can be online, and I'll pull the data that I need. Okay. Now, the other thing that we can do is, actually I'm going to keep that for now because I may use it, is I may want to order these things. So one of the other statements here at the bottom of this is order. I'm going to put the keywords in capital letters. I like the way that looks, but it is irrelevant. So now I'm going to say order by, let's do sales channel. So this will order by the sales channel, and the default is in ascending order. Get rid of the semicolon. So you see the offline, and then towards the bottom, and you could sort it here if you want online. Okay? We'll run this again. And that's how you end up with ordering, and I can order by sales channel. If I wanted to, I could order by, probably one of the better ones is going to be total revenue. So we'll order by total revenue. You can see here, it's obviously ordering by total revenue. If the default is ascending like this, you don't need to put the ASC because it's implied. The DESC is to order it in descending order, and this will give me the top ones. In this case, 6.6 million. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so what I can also now do is, if I want to, I can order by two columns if I would like. I can order first by order date. So let's put this in order date ascending, followed by total revenue descending. Challenge here is that, again, you may not have a lot of items on the same date, but you can see here 2010-01-01, and here the highest one is 1.97 million. Again, given this query where the total revenue is greater than or equal to 500,000, or the sales channel is online.
Professor, I have a question.
Sure.
If you did the order by before the where statement, would that throw things off, or do you need
you cannot? It's going to have to be in this order.
Okay,
It's
so
going to
learn the order.
The order of the statement will be select, from, where. In fact, order by is actually one of the last items. There's one more statement that goes below it. So there's going to be stuff that we're going to learn in here. Okay?
So group by?
Group by will go in there, correct? And then there's a having clause which goes after that. But the last statement is also cool. Let's say I just want to know the top one. So let's say I'm going to get rid of where total revenue, I'll just say, is greater than 1,000. I don't want the sales channel anymore. And I could sit here and say, well, let's do order by total revenue descending. That's great. I run that. It gives me the whole thing. But I may only want the top 10. So in MySQL, we'll say limit 10. And what that will do is that will only give me 10 records. So the limit is another statement underneath the order by. Okay? And that limit is actually pretty good because if you're in R or Python and you're writing queries, what will happen is that you may only need, let's say, 100 records or 1,000 records. You don't need the full data set. And that's one of the ways that you can actually manipulate the data set in R to say, just give me, top number of records, and that's it. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go into, I don't think you can see my screen, but that's okay. I'm going to, just to give you an idea, I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to share again. If you look at the select syntax, okay, for in SQL, all of these items are available for you to use. Okay, so what happens is this: the select, anything that's not in brackets is mandatory. So the select is really the only thing that's mandatory. Okay, which is weird, but it makes sense a little bit later. You have other statements in here that we're not going to go through everything, but some of these I can ignore. The select expression basically means what fields, from what table. We're not going to deal with partitions. Where is the where condition, the filtering condition. This is where we said we're going to talk about group by in a minute. Having is another condition that I mentioned, which we'll talk about when we deal with a little bit later with group by, not today. Order by, and then limit. And then you can actually take that select statement and actually put it into a file, or you can actually even put it into another table. So there's stuff that you can do. This is all that's available with the SQL with a select statement. Okay.
So you can export your own, like you can do a query and export it into an out file. You can like create it into its own file.
That's correct. Yep, and then deal with it whatever you want. You can like export it to a CSV. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. You can put it into another table. Absolutely. Okay. Some of these other things like for update, share, no wait, skip lock, those are pretty advanced for some very, very large data sets. Okay. All right, going back. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Everybody breezes through this. They're good? Oh, so did someone have a question? No. Everybody good? Okay. So let's do the group by. So now what we want to do is, why am I going to do the group by? I'm going to do group by because I want to find out certain things about groups of data. The easiest ones right now for us to focus on is going to be these sales channels, order priority, and item type, and possibly country or region. So what I'm going to do is this. Let's assume that I want to find out the total revenue by order priority or by sales channel. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what, I want to give me the sales channel. I'm going to exclude the, let's say I'm going to only do where total revenue is greater than 10,000, because we can assume that anything lower than 10,000 is irrelevant. We don't care. Then I'm going to do group by sales channel. Just like that. So what it's going to do is it's going to group by the sales channel. I don't need this order by total revenue anymore, and I don't need this limit anymore. Doesn't make sense. Now the problem is, what am I grouping? Why am I doing the grouping? Because I want to look at total revenue. So normally what we might want to do is we're going to use one of the aggregate functions like sum. So I'm going to sum total revenue. So what I'm basically saying here is I want you to group by the sales channel and add up the groupings. So in this case, online or offline, add up their total revenue, assuming that the record itself was greater than 10,000. And then show me the result. So when I click plus, you'll see here that it added the offline. So all of the sum of the revenue is $6 billion, I guess. See. Yep, something like that, 6 billion, and then this is also 6.6 billion. Does that make sense? Everybody follow that or no?
I'm getting an error message.
Okay.
So am I.
Okay, let's see. Do me a favor, Gabriella, share your screen real quick. Colleen, yours good? We
I'm
lose
getting
Colleen?
an error too.
Huh?
I was getting an error too.
Okay, so let's see what the error is. Okay, what you're going to do is do me a favor. Right mouse click on the response at the bottom. Right mouse click down there. Copy response, and then paste it under 45 so I can see what the hell it is. Because this is one thing I hate about the Workbench. SQL class sum does not exist. Function name, parsing, and resolution section. Okay, go back to the left. Just do me a favor. Pull the parenthesis back. No space.
Sorry, do what?
Sum, no space after the sum.
Oh.
Just try that. Get rid of the bottom part. There you go.
Huh.
Oh.
In some programming languages, you can have the space. Others you cannot. This one you cannot. Where's my Workbench? Okay. Colleen, are you okay?
Getting a 0. So.
Refresh. Okay. Share your screen. Chris, was yours okay?
Yeah, I spelled revenue wrong. I fixed that.
Yeah, I can't help you there. Okay, you did the same thing. That you see the apostrophe on total revenue?
Yes.
Wrong one. You need the back apostrophe. There you go.
Oh, no.
There you go. Okay, so now, Workbench. Okay, so now that I have that, I may want to take an average. So I can do AVG. And now this will give me the average using the same thing. Okay. I can also do max. And I could do a couple on the same line. So if I wanted to, which sometimes makes perfect sense to do, I can do a group of them. I can do the min. I can do the average. I can do the, what is it? Let's see, sum. What would be cool also is I can do the count because I want to know the number of records. So you remember before when I was saying get the number of records and you had to look down here? Well, you don't have to do that. You can actually use the count function. When I run this, you'll see that I actually have a whole bunch of fields. It's for the offline channel, the max revenue is that, the min revenue is that, the average is that, the sum is this, and the count is that. Does that make sense? We good? See who I call. Modi, you're okay?
I'm fine.
Matt? Who's Matt? When?
Sorry, yeah, I'm good.
When, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Jin, you good?
Yes, I'm good.
Excellent. I'm just making sure. Don't want to leave anybody out. Okay. Now, it really, those columns really stink, don't they? Max apostrophe total revenue. So we actually have something called aliases, okay? And an alias basically allows us to rename a column on the fly for the results. So you see where it says max total revenue. I may actually just want to call it total rev. So I do max total revenue as total rev. When you run this, you'll see that it renamed the column to total rev. I can do the same thing for each one of them to say, okay, I'm going to call this max total revenue. And then I will just basically do as, we'll call this one min total revenue. I'm going off the screen. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to hit an enter and put a nice little tab here. For those of you who are not familiar with Bob Ross, that's a happy little cloud. Ah, Chris, you got that, huh? This gets all my popular culture references.
The happy little accident.
Okay. Sum total revenue and count total revenue. I can now run this, and this should look a lot better, which it does. Now, some of you may ask, well, can I rename a field that's not one of the aggregate functions like max, min, count, sum? The answer is yes. If I wanted to, I could do this. And now that first column would be renamed online, offline. Make sense? What would be nice now is I could actually add on to that an order by, and I really would like to order by what would be the max total revenue, or let's say the average. Okay? So I'm going to order by the average total revenue. And now we'll put my average total revenue in order. And remember, the default is ascending, so it moved online on top of offline. Make sense? Okay, I'm going to make another change. And instead of region, I'm going to do country because I want to see what country looks like. I'll change this to country, but I'll keep all the other stuff the same. And I will run this. And now I can get something that means a little bit more. Actually, this should read country, not online, offline. Actually, I can take it out. It should be okay. And there you go. Does that make sense?
Is there a way to round it? So
I was so waiting for someone to say that. Thank you so much. We have other functions as well. One of them is called, what do you think it's called, Chris?
Round.
Round. So I can put the round outside of the max, and I give it a precision like 2, and I run it, and it's going to round this to 2 decimal places. I could do the same thing for each of these, round, comma 2, and it will round that one to 2 decimal places. I could do the round for this as well, comma 2, and a round, comma 2.
Is there not a way to just envelop the whole thing with round 2?
No, you got to do it column at a time.
Okay. R is spoiling me.
Yeah, exactly, right. Now, I might want to do order by the last one, which would be count total revenue. Okay, and I may want to do descending. So that'll give me the most number of records at the top. So it looks like the most total records is Moldova, of course. Makes perfect sense. Okay. So now you're seeing how to build this larger, the queries are getting slightly bigger and bigger to give you the information that you need in the format that you need. Now, I'm going to give you a shortcut. However, I'm going to suggest you don't use this right away. But let's say you want to order by that total revenue. It kind of stinks to put this whole thing in here, right? The name. Well, one shortcut that you can do is you could say, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to order by the 6th column. So I can put 6, and it will give me the same result. So I can actually order the columns by the number of the columns as opposed to having to put the whole name in. The problem with doing that is if you don't realize which one it is, you've got to figure it out, obviously. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions so far?
Is there a way you can, do you just have to count to find the number of the column, or is there a way you can ask it to find?
You mean like an R names and then figure it out from there? No. And the reason is because remember, you're building the query, right? So you're going to have to know which ones are which. You can't cheat.
I like R. Okay.
You're spoiled. Okay? Oops. Oh. Hold on one second. Let me see. We did the round, we did the aggregate functions. I don't want to do having yet. Okay. What I want to do next week is we're going to do more complicated where clauses, and we're going to work on joins. So we're going to actually begin combining two tables together. But what I'd like you to be able to do is make sure that you can manipulate a single table with these aggregate functions. One thing that you can look at is here. Get them in MySQL. There we go. Stop share. Share. Where is it? These are the aggregate functions that you have available to you. Average, bitwise operators, which you may not be familiar with. Count. I'll show you the distinct also in 1 second. Group concatenation, which is a little bit complicated. The JSONs are also a little complicated. Max, min, standard deviation. Standard deviation, this is old. Populate, these are older formats as well. Standard deviation of a sample, the sum, the variance of the population, variance of a sample, and variance of the population as well. So because they're repetitive, they're older. Okay, it's allowing for backward compatibility. These are the aggregate functions that are available to you. Okay, there are some other functions available, string functions and so forth, that are available. We'll go through those. A couple things that I want to be able to do next week is I'm going to go over joins. I'm also going to go over date functions, and dates suck in every SQL, every brand of SQL, whether it's Oracle, SQL Server, they're just very different, and so they take a little bit of time. We're only going to stick with the MySQL, but it's important to know that of all the compatibility issues you will have between one database and another, it will be with SQL. It will be with dates. That'll be the biggest problem when you go from one to another. Okay? Everybody good so far? We good?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you one other quick trick here. We're going to put a semicolon here. I want to basically find out, I just want to know what countries there are. Huh?
Can we see your screen?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I was on the wrong thing there. So what I'm going to do is I want to get distinct rows or unique rows. If you remember in R, we had the ability to do unique. So I may want to do distinct for, let's say, countries. I want to find out what countries I have. So if I do distinct country, I actually don't need the apostrophe here because, fine, from sales table, you'll see that if I run this, it gives me only the distinct countries, no duplicate rows. The distinct keyword will prevent you from getting duplicate rows. It will actually do the same thing if you did a group by on the field. So for example, this is equivalent to select country from sales table group by one, or which would be group by country. You will get the exact same information. Okay? Everybody good? So a quick recap. So we're building our select statement, and we've got the select, which gives us the fields. We've worked with one function called round. There are many other functions which we will be working with. We've worked with aggregate functions like max, min, average, sum, count, which require the group by clause. We have a sales table, which is the table that we've got it from. We learned a little bit about filtering conditions. And we have our group by clause to create groups. And we can order items by a certain column in our list. And finally, we know that we can limit our results by putting a limit clause in and getting the information. This would be equivalent to getting the top 10. Okay?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Why is it that in group by it does a sort of the countries in alphabetical order, but when you do select distinct, it doesn't?
Because select distinct actually is a little bit faster because it doesn't have to do the sort.
Okay.
It's just an implementation.
Okay.
By the way, I'm almost certain that is not the same in all databases.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember what it was in which one.
Yeah, it's just I think there are slight variations to how group by is implemented. Okay. All right. Any questions? Was this helpful to start with SQL?
Awesome.
Very.
Okay. Everybody else good? Any last questions?
Yeah, I discovered my virtual machine is there. I was entering the wrong password. That's why I couldn't
There you
get
go. I can't help you on those.
in. Right. I agree. Yeah, but it's active. So maybe I'll try out this workbench thing with that virtual machine. That would be interesting.
Okay. I'm going to try and get you guys another data set. I'll try and do it earlier than Monday. I'll be in South Carolina at the end of the week, so I'll have some time to actually do that. I will get it to you, and then we'll be able to go from there. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Can you send the YouTube link or video?
Yeah, as soon as I post it up, it's going to take, I think it's going to take like 45 minutes for it to get up there.
Of the previous class as well, because
There was none for the previous class. It was just making sure that everybody had Workbench, that's all.
Oh, okay. No worries. Yeah.
So just going down the line. Chris, any last questions?
No.
All right, Bahan? Good?
Alex,
Yes.
can you look my results? Because there are some problem.
Sure. Go ahead, share your screen.
Share.
Change the apostrophes to the back apostrophe.
Which one?
Go ahead. You run this and you're getting an error?
No error, just no data.
Okay. You have an older version of Workbench, so that's why. Okay. What are you're getting? No. Yeah. Okay. No. Put the back apostrophes for sales channel. So go see where the apostrophe is in sales channel. Hit the key where it's next to the 1.
Next to 1.
There's a backwards apostrophe. Use those.
I didn't find it.
It's on your 1 on the keyboard to the left. You see the apostrophe that looks like a backwards apostrophe? Use those apostrophes. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
That'll fix that problem.
I changed all of them?
For all fields, correct. If you're going to do a fields, yes. There you go. That should work. Boom.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Matt, you good?
Yep, I'm good.
Wen, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Jen, you good?
Yes, I'm good.
Colleen?
You said the select distinct was the same as saying select country from sales table group by
Country. Yep.
All right. Yep, I'm good.
Okay. Modi?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Chris, we did. Gabriella?
Okay, I just have like one potentially stupid question.
Okay.
I just want to clarify. So like SQL is more of like a database management system where you can kind of do like, but you can't really do like deeper analysis in SQL. Is that right?
It depends on what you're talking about deeper analysis. If you're talking about like regression, the answer is no.
Okay.
Okay. If you're talking about descriptive analytics, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Like averages, max, min. There's no quartile function that I know of, but you could build one.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Vanessa?
I'm good. Thank you.
And I guess that's everybody. All right. Then I will see everybody next week. I'll let you know when this is when it's up on YouTube.
Awesome.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.